Hey everyone, welcome. If you're gearing up to crush that Nutanix certification, well, you're in exactly the right spot. In this explainer, we are zeroing in on Objective NCP-MCI 7.5 1.2, the three forms of foundation. We're going to cut right through the fluff today and look under the hood at the core mechanics of this deployment engine. Because honestly, mastering this, it's your very first real step to passing that exam.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the session. We'll hit why Foundation matters, check out the portable app, look at CVM Foundation, then the standalone VM, cover our access and credentials, and wrap up with some tricky exam traps and key facts to memorize.
All right, Section 1, Why Foundation Matters.
So right off the bat, Foundation is the official deployment software engine for Nutanix. It's basically the master tool we use to configure pre-imaged nodes or to install a hypervisor, like say the Acropolis hypervisor or AHV, right alongside the Acropolis operating system, AOS. And just a quick refresher, AOS is the operating system of the Nutanix controller VM that gives us all that crucial Nutanix-specific functionality. So whether you're dealing with a factory node running AHV or some OEM node, Foundation is literally your gateway to standing up a working, healthy cluster.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we're looking at. From the field installation guides, we get this Foundation use case matrix, showing us the three primary forms: CVM Foundation, the portable app for Windows and macOS, and the standalone Foundation VM. Now listen closely, because the certification exam absolutely loves to test you on picking the right tool for the job. You have to know the specific constraints and benefits of each one so you can nail those scenario-based questions. So let's just break them down, one by one.
Section 2, the portable app.
Okay, so the Foundation app for Windows and macOS. This is widely considered the absolute easiest form of Foundation. It really should be your default choice for a quick laptop-based install. If you're running Windows 10 or higher, or macOS 10.13.1 or higher, it's going to be your path of least resistance for getting a standard field deployment off the ground fast. But you know how it is in IT? The easiest path is rarely bulletproof.
Yeah, we really need to watch out for a few strict limitations here. First off, bare metal imaging, meaning, imaging a node that's essentially a blank slate with no basic OS, that is limited to only very specific hardware platforms. Secondly, and this is a massive headache for field techs, this app is highly susceptible to getting blocked by corporate laptop firewalls. And third, even though it's software living on your machine, you cannot deploy it as a virtual machine in a network. So picture this ideal scenario. You're hanging out in a relaxed branch office. You just need to do a quick single-node imaging job, and you actually have admin rates on your laptop to open whatever ports you need. Boom, the app shines beautifully there. But if you run headfirst into a strict corporate firewall, yeah, you're dead in the water, and you're going to have to pivot.
Which brings us to Section 3, CVM Foundation. Pay close attention here.
The Controller VM or CVM Foundation is officially documented as the most limited form of foundation out there. Now, it already lives inside a running node, but its use case is fundamentally a fallback option. You literally only choose CVM Foundation when deploying the portable app or spinning up a standalone VM is completely impossible in your environment.
So the crucial point is, well, there are two absolute exam deal breakers you have to memorize for this one. First, CVM Foundation cannot, I repeat, cannot perform bare metal imaging. The nodes you're targeting absolutely must already have AOS or the Lightweight Discovery OS installed on them. If they are totally blank, zero software nodes, CVM Foundation will instantly fail. Second deal breaker, it cannot perform any imaging in environments where IPv6 is completely disabled. If your network doesn't support IPv6, CVM Foundation is just entirely off the table.
And man, even if you do manage to use it, you're going to face a severe performance hit. We're talking roughly a 2x imaging time penalty with CVM Foundation. Why does it take so long? Well, it's because it has to use a two-phase bootstrap process. If your imaging job includes the node that's actually hosting the CVM Foundation itself, the whole process splits. Step 1, one completely separate single node gets imaged all by itself first. Then, step 2, once that single node is totally finished and stable, it takes over the job and images the rest of the cluster. It's super clever, for sure, but yeah, it takes twice as long.
Let's move on to Section 4, the standalone Foundation VM. Now we're talking about the standalone Foundation virtual machine. This is the ultimate, most complete form of Foundation. It gives you full access to every single piece of functionality the software has to offer, and the best part, absolutely no limitations. When you're sitting in the exam and you get hit with a crazy complex scenario packed with network restrictions, blank nodes, and hardware limits, I promise you, the standalone VM is almost always going to be your correct answer. The standalone VM just gives you this massive amount of flexibility. You can deploy it on VirtualBox, VMware Fusion, or Workstation, directly onto an HV cluster, or even an ESXi host. And most importantly, it supports complete bare metal imaging across the board. Imagine you're in a heavily controlled, super strict data center environment. You're handed a stack of totally unconfigured, softwareless, bare metal nodes from some vendor without an OEM agreement. So no Discovery OS, no AOS. Oh, and your laptop is completely locked down by corporate IT. Sound familiar? In this scenario, you just spin up the standalone VM on a workstation or an existing hypervisor, and it will handle that entire complex deployment flawlessly. Okay, Section 5, Access Points and Credentials. Let's talk about how we actually log into these things. When it comes to accessing the Foundation interface, I want you to mentally flag port 8000. Just burn that into your brain. It is the critical gateway across these different forms. If you're using CVM Foundation, you're going to point your browser to the CVM's IP address on port 8000. If you're using the portable app on your laptop, launching the executable usually opens your default browser automatically right to localhost, again on port 8000.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how amazingly simple the keys to the kingdom are here. Whether you are logging into the controller VM via SSH as the admin or the Nutanix user, or you're just accessing default interfaces, the default credential string you absolutely must memorize is Nutanix/4u. That's all lowercase Nutanix, a /, the number 4, and a lowercase u. It is incredibly simple, but I'm telling you, forgetting this during an exam scenario or a high-pressure field deployment will just stop you dead in your tracks. Memorize it.
All right, final stretch. Section 6, Exam Traps and Key Facts. Let's see what you've got.
Let's test this out with a really classic exam trap. What happens if you attempt to image unconfigured bare metal nodes on a network where IPv6 is completely disabled and you try to use the CVM Foundation to do it? I'll give you a second. Test your own recall based on what we just went over. The answer? It fails entirely. But the real trick here is that it's actually a double trap. If you chose CVM Foundation in that scenario, you failed for two totally separate reasons. First off, CVM Foundation inherently lacks bare metal support. Remember, it needs those nodes to already have AOS or Discovery OS. Second, it strictly mandates an IPv6 environment to function. The exam makers absolutely love to combine limitations exactly like this, just to see if you truly grasp the constraints of the tool. So let's lock this all in. Here's a quick final review of our 4 golden rules for Objective 1.2. 1. The CVM is the most limited form and it brings that rough 2 times imaging time penalty. 2. The portable app is the easiest option, purpose-built for laptop-based quick starts. 3. The standalone VM is your absolute heavy hitter, the most complete tool with 0 limits. And 4. Through it all, your default access relies on the credential Nutanix/4u targeting port 8000. I'm going to leave you with this one final scenario to really cement your knowledge. You're on site, you are handed a stack of completely blank, bare metal nodes. You pull out your laptop, but boom, your corporate IT has pushed a strict firewall policy blocking all incoming connections. So the app is blocked, the CVM can't do bare metal. Which version of Foundation is your one and only path to success here? That's right, it's the standalone Foundation VM. Trust your knowledge of these specific constraints and you are going to completely crush this section of the exam. But hey, once you've successfully deployed Foundation, how do you handle the initial cluster configuration? Well, that's a whole new set of rules, and it's something you'll definitely want to explore next.